issue that Brother Kamal addressed. And there was the issue of these people, young people who are quick to criticize the ulama. And I know some of them for fact, and I'm saying this live and they recorded, for fact some of the people who used to be among those people who made tawbah from it, that sometimes they will fabricate things. Sometimes they will say, for example, they will say, Sheikh bin Baz made fatwa against Kamal al-Makki. Sheikh bin Baz made fatwa against Kamal al-Makki. And then you go down and you read the fatwa, and it is true, the Sheikh is saying Kamal al-Makki is mubtadi', is this, is that, la tusallu khalfu, do not pray behind him, don't listen to him.
They're going to take this clip
I
now
know they cut
it by itself now.
I know. All this, you're going to cut and paste. Yeah. But in reality what they did, they find a fatwa of a Sheikh responding to an actual mubtadi'. So they kept the fatwa of the Sheikh, but they changed the name of that mubtadi' and they put your name or his name or my name there. And I know in the area that you were, there was a lot of them. Do you have any experience? Do you know any of the things that, is it true, everything that they say? Because they always say, the ulama are behind us, the ulama agree this. Or is something that they like to fabricate or create more light over it, or on it?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, I studied at that time what was their headquarters, and now they don't have much any say in Medina anymore. The government has taken the power from, obviously, and they realized that they actually and the harm they had to the students. And I recall, one time, or actually 2 times, that it came from the Minister of Interior, from Wizard al-Dakhliya and Saudi Arabia, and also from the King's Chamber itself, for these people to stop their nonsense and what they were doing to the students. And they always talk about following the rulers and obeying the rulers, but on this certain situation they refused to do it. Subhanallah, because it was so these people. I'll tell you what. Something that happened to me. A personal story is that a rumor spread about me that I used to talk about the governments. Abdurrahim yatakallam fil hukam. He talks about the governments. I thought about it. The only governments I know, there could be, I think most of the governments are clear that they're not really about Islam. I live in Sudan, I live in Saudi Arabia, and I have good relationships with in both areas. Even one of my friends is a prince, he's a younger guy, like I used to visit him in Saudi Arabia, and the government in Sudan, I know a lot of people in the government. We might not agree with all the things they have, we disagree with some of the things, but we have a relationship with them, and our Muslim brothers and what have you. So I thought, what could I have said about anybody like this, So they're spreading the rumors. And we had a brother from the UK, he was a beautiful brother, and he followed it. Who told you? He said, Zayd told me. He went to Zayd. Who told you? He said, Ubaid. Until he went back to it, and what it was, we were sitting one time in my house, somebody came to visit me, and I said, Barwiz Musharraf, I said, he's Ilmani. He said his role model is Kamal al-Turk, and he went to visit him. That's all I said. So they said I talked about the governments because I said something about Barwiz Musharraf, and they made it something big, like I was making this big takfir on all the governments. So they'll take something and they'll fabricate it and spread it like this. Also, and I remember something they used to do when it comes to fabricating things, is that they would take a certain of the scholars who were imprisoned for a certain amount of time, and I think most of the people, and I know their names, they were put in prison for about 6 years and let out. They used to pass out a fatwa for Sheikh bin Baz, saying that they should be stopped if they did not stop what they were saying and some of the things that they were doing. However, another fatwa which came right after that, where he praised them, they wouldn't show the students this. They would just show them one and not the other. And in general, unfortunately, these people, and I like the terminology that Sheikh Kamal used. I think that's a classic, and the e-thugs. This is the great. And you'll find that these people, they're rejected all throughout the world. In the society, and I heard they have a basement here in this area, and all around the world is how they are. They're not accepted in the Muslim communities because they're not concerned about the Muslim Ummah. All they want to do is talk about Muslims. And the fact that they will talk about somebody who is on the Sunnah more than somebody who is far away from the Sunnah, it shows you in the reality of these people. And so I sat with them, and I know them very well. And unfortunately, I don't blame them. The ones that we have in the West, I don't blame them, because this is what they have been fed. Even some people who are mubtadi', some people, this is what their mashaykh, they teach them. And unfortunately, they come into this blind following of what their many mashaykh say, and they believe that these shuyukh, that they fly through the air in red capes, and they leap any tall buildings in a single bound. And this is like, and this is and when you talk about the manhaj of Ahl Sunnah, following the Quran and the Sunnah, this is what is totally against this. You know, we love our mashaykh, and we take from our mashaykh. And then I recall one time, I'll tell you something, with Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, and in this issue, I had a big run-in with these people. And I used to go to him every time. I used to go to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin every time. And I remember one time that one of them started talking about me because I used to sit with my Sheikh Abdul al-Qari. And he said, Adu Allah Abdul al-Qari, is what this guy said. He's the enemy of Allah. I was like, wow, you know. So he said, you have to go to our mashaykh. And I said, what? And then I told him, I put him on the spot. I said, what does he have? He said, he's mubtadi'. I said, what does he have? He was like, you know, I don't really recall, but our mashaykh, no. You have to go to our mashaykh. I said, I'll go to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad. He's the scholar of Medina. I'll go to him and ask. He said, la, he's not specialized in the manhaj. You can't go to him. I said, Alhamdulillah, what is this? And then the scholar who was with us, he's from the scholars who include the hadith from the mashaykh. He said, you can't stop him from going to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad. He's one of the most knowledgeable in Medina. So I went to the sheikh and I asked him, and he said, هذا طالع جيد. He said, he's a very good student of knowledge. And he has a lot of good. And he praised him so much. He said he went a little overboard in some of his khutbahs at Quba. That's how the Sheikh Abdul Muhsin felt. And he told me, you can benefit from him a lot. You know? SubhanAllah. I said, look what the scholars are saying, look what the youth are saying. And it's a totally different totally different world. So you'll see that unfortunately, and all they want to focus on is what is talking about Muslims. And I know a lot of these people personally, and their communities, they have reached a level where it's like this type of irja. They see that they have made it. They're in the safe zone, everybody else is off of it. So this falls, that's why you always find these type of Muslims, they're always falling into sin. Now if we look at, for example, in some cities in America on the East Coast, where the biggest cocaine dealer is what? From this group. And the biggest drug gun trade in the city from this group. I don't know, I want to mention about some of the things that some of the sisters do. I don't want to mention that here on tape. We're live here, but it's sad. Because why? Because they feel they've made it, and that's why it's so easy for them to fall into sin. And even in Medina, some of the things that happened, some of them, may Allah and He protect all of us. And it was some evil things. So and unfortunately, you'll find that they focus on trying to make fitna all the time, between the shabab and talking about the scholars. And when you see the major scholars, for example, I remember they told us that all of Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen's students, they're off of it. All of Sheikh Ibn Baz's students are off of it. So what does that make Sheikh Ibn Baz and Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen? I asked them. Now, they told me when I went to Qasim, stay away from the students of Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. They're dangerous, they're this. Sheikh Khalid al-Muslih, Sheikh Ahmed al-Qadi, Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Dahsh, Sheikh Sami al-Sughir, all my mashaykh that I studied under. Stay away from them, they're dangerous, they're this, they're that. They have takfir. A'udhu billah. When Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, before he died, in his will, he said what? When I die, he knew he was dying, khalas, he knew he was close, He said, when I die, Sheikh Abdul Rahman Dahsh is in charge of teaching Nahu in my masjid. Sheikh Sami al-Sughir, who is married to his daughter, by the way, and he's dangerous, I can't go near him, and his Sheikh married him to his daughter. That's the first tazkiyah for him. And then he told him, he becomes the imam, he becomes the khatib, he becomes the teacher of fiqh, the teacher of usul al-fiqh, of fara'ib. And his other son-in-law, Sheikh Khalid al-Muslih, teaches aqeedah, and he's the most dangerous of them, by the way. And he told him he teaches aqeedah and tafsir to the students when I die. So you'll see the scholars are saying something, and they're saying something. Sahih, they might agree with him on certain issues. So they'll take this and they'll put that in the bright lights. But the issues they don't agree upon with him, they'll hide it and put it away. And this is very, very dangerous. And may Allah protect us all from this. And obviously, I was studying that, and I went through it, and I realized the time that was wasted, and qeel wa qal, and so and so is this, so and so is that. Alhamdulillah. And after about 4 or 5 years of going through that, Allah guided me, and I left that ideology. And I remember one time, I benefited a great benefit from Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Abbad al-Badr, when the brothers were differing something. And he said to me, and alhamdulillah, I found this later in the book of Ibn al-Qayyim myself, but he mentioned that Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned that any knowledge that does not increase you in iman, it is ilm madkhul. What does it mean, ilm madkhul? Something that has been entered. Something has been entered other than ikhlas. And he said, that's why you find these people who talk about this, just stay up late at night, so-and-so's off, so-and-so's on. No, by the way, he's back on today. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know, man. He's back on today. He got his pass, he's back on the manhaj today. You'll find these people, they don't get up pray Salat al-Fajr. You know? So you'll find now that these people, he said, this ilm they're talking about, it's madkhul, it doesn't have ikhlas in it. As Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned, rahimahullah. If it doesn't increase you in iman, it doesn't bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it's ilm madkhul. And may Allah protect us and may Allah guide all of us, and them and us, to help the ummah, inshallah, and come together as one, inshallah ta'ala.
I mean, subhanallah, it's absolutely true. First-hand experience that the masjid has crossed the street of their location first-hand. The iqamah is called, the adhan is called, the iqamah is called, the qira'ah. We would not go. And the justification was, I'm doing something greater. I'm purifying the aqidah of the ummah. I'm responding to this. So subhanAllah, a lot of time was wasted. But one thing that we all learned through the years, that idea is like Jahannam. You know, Jahannam, if it could not find anything to burn, then it would burn itself. So when they find no one available around them to burn, they would just turn to each other. And today you are mubtadi' and I'm mubtadi' tomorrow, and so on. And then we start until one of us left in.
That's what's happening right now.
That's exactly what happens. Now, we talked a lot.
Can I cut you off real quick? Just pause it. I want to say something that my mashaykh taught me. When I left that, and I was pumped up, and I took my notebooks, and I wrote everything I heard from them down, and I was going to get on the internet, and I was going to refute them, you know, and expose them. Some of my mashaykh, they taught me, they said the best way to deal with these type of people is to act like they're not even living, like they're not even in this world. He said, wallahi, just like you said, they're like fire, they'll eat each other up. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. And I took this from my mashaykh, and I don't even, and now, even if now if they were to write something now, okay, and they put something on us about Abu Hurairah, and I don't even want to read it. Please, if it comes out tomorrow, don't bring it to me. I don't want to read it. I wouldn't waste my time. And I saw one of the mashaykh when I went to him, and I said, so-and-so said this about you in his book. He said, wallahi akhi, I haven't seen the book. And there's a book that's been printed like for 6 years, and he's been saying really bad stuff about the guy. He said, wallahi, he said, I haven't seen the book. And you'll find they talk about stuff, and they don't even know. One of our brothers, Abu Muslima, one of them said something very, in a conference, there was all these masajid in America. They said, what do you say about Abu Muslima? And this sheikh just started going in on him, just talking really bad about him. Abu Muslima, he came to that sheikh in Masjid Quba in Medina and said, please tell me these mistakes I have so you can tell me. And this is a guy, he has a PhD in hadith, and he teaches now in Islamic University, unfortunately. And he was like, I really don't know, but I've heard that our mashaykh say about you. I was like, A'udhu billah. And how can you say that on this is live on all these links, and he's saying about this person who has over 1,000 tapes in Aqidah. The person has the biggest masjid in America. And even like you said, if we come after him, if we think we might, we learn more than him in Medina, or this, I'm not saying I did. I haven't done anything like he's done. But look what the brother has done. Even some things we might not agree with that he said. And look what he's done for Islam in the West. And they just want to attack him. You see, if there's any light of Islam, they want to put it out. Subhanallah al-Azim. And that's why they focus on anybody who's a big da'iyah. They want to put him out. Abu Usama, Abu Muslima, Sheikh Jamal al-Din, Sheikh Ali Timi. They just want to focus on these people who have been successful in their da'wah and put out this light. Wallahu mutimmin nuruhu.
It's very unique that subhanallah issue like people banning niqab and people saying issues that like that nobody talks about, but subhanallah we are quick to criticize the da'is who are striving and fighting for the manhaj of the Salaf, and subhanallah we left the living ones, and sometimes we go to the grave of those who died and we want to say, hey, look at what they did and so on.